We at Culture City are thrilled to have you join us in creating a more sensory-inclusive world. By partnering with Culture City, you are opening a new door for so many individuals to be accepted within their everyday environments. My name is Mallory Pritchard, and I am the Education Director for Culture City. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Culture City, we were founded in October 2013 in Birmingham, Alabama. We are the leading sensory-inclusive nonprofit in the world. Our mission is to provide understanding and acceptance for any person with a sensory need. Culture City has trained and certified over 800 organizations and locations around the world. We are thankful for the opportunity to train you and provide tools to create an accepting environment and an inclusive atmosphere. This training will cover the following areas: sensory processing systems, sensory dysregulation, the 4 E's, and the proper response to a meltdown. Sensory processing. Sensory processing is defined as the method our nervous system uses to recognize, organize, and make sense of sensory inputs. To understand the development of sensory needs, we must first look at the functions of our sensory processing systems. How many senses do you have? When you think of senses, you probably think of the 5 external senses that we were taught at an early age in life. However, we also receive sensory input through 3 internal sources. All 8 of these sensory systems work together and help us to understand and adapt to our environments. Let's briefly take a look at each of these sensory systems. Hearing. Auditory input is what gives us feedback about the sounds occurring in our environments. Sight. Visual input not only consists of our visual acuity, but also how we process visual stimuli within our environments. Just because an individual doesn't have glasses does not mean that they won't experience visual overload due to external stimuli. Smell. Smell is perceived differently by everyone and is a sense that often provides constant feedback to our nervous system. Touch. Our tactile input is the information we receive from touch receptors. When we think about touch, we often think of what our hands are feeling. However, our tactile input comes from all of our touch receptors, including those in our hands, skin, hair, and feet. Interoception. Interoception is what is occurring inside of our body. Examples of this include hunger, pain, body temperature, alertness, or our emotional state. Taste. Our taste buds give us immediate feedback of what we are eating or drinking. Vestibular. Our vestibular system controls our balance and movement during our everyday activities. This system helps us to regulate during all hours of the day, including while we are sleeping. The vestibular system is regulated through our inner ear canals. Proprioception. Proprioceptive input is the feedback we receive from our muscles and joints. It is what lets us know where our body is in space. For example, when we sit in a chair, we don't often think about the steps it takes to get there, how we bend our knees to lower ourselves into the seat, or how we place our body up against the back support of the chair. Normal sensory processing is our ability to take in all information coming from our 8 senses, filter it out, and create what we call an adaptive response. This happens naturally for most of us. Think about the last time you drove home. Did you think about every aspect of your commute? Did you notice the number of cars going by or the people that you passed? Were there any loud noises such as a police siren or construction? Many of us are able to automatically filter out the additional sensory information and focus on the task at hand, which is driving or riding home in my example. However, this is not the same for those with sensory needs. Individuals with sensory needs have difficulty receiving and/or responding to information being received from the 8 senses. Because of this, those with sensory needs are often sensitive to various aspects of their environments. Many of you might be sitting here thinking, why should you care about this? Today in the United States, 1 in 6 individuals has a sensory processing need. Sensory needs occur across the lifespan and can be seen in infancy through adulthood. Some common diagnoses where sensory needs are often seen are autism, PTSD, anxiety, ADHD, traumatic brain injury, Down syndrome, dementia, or Parkinson's. However, it is important to note that an individual does not have to have a specific diagnosis to experience sensory processing deficits. Because of this, sensory needs are often viewed as an invisible disability. Sensory dysregulation. Before we discuss dysregulation in the sensory processing systems, it is important to be aware that all individuals process sensory input differently. For example, think of a location that you find to be the most calming environment for you. For me, it is the beach. I love the peacefulness of the waves and the texture of the sand. However, there are many individuals that experience over-responsivity within this same environment. The textures, sounds, and visual glare caused by water and sand can be too much. Over-responsiveness is when an individual is very sensitive to sensory stimuli and often causes a fight or flight response. Under-responsiveness is when an individual might appear unaware of various sensory inputs, such as touch or loud noise. Sensory system dysregulation. Hearing. Individuals that have signs of hearing sensitivities often shield their ears during unexpected or loud sounds. When we think about our external environments, there are many unexpected sounds that occur throughout the day. Some of these could be as simple as a garbage truck loading trash on the street to more complex noises, such as a buzzer at a sporting event. Individuals with auditory sensitivities often become anxious in unfamiliar settings due to the possibility of loud noises. Some individuals might be under-responsive to auditory input. These individuals might not be aware that you are calling their name, or might be oblivious to an emergency sound such as a siren. Sight. Individuals who are sensitive to visual changes might have difficulty with changing in lights, or might be sensitive to lights within their environments. For example, fluorescent lighting is often known to give a glare off of tables and floors, creating a distraction for many individuals. Some guests or coworkers with visual needs might be unable to maintain eye contact or have difficulty navigating their environments. Smell. Smell is something we often do not think about as being overwhelming. However, many individuals like to use perfume, cologne, or scented lotions. When combined in a group setting, this can be very overwhelming. In addition to individual scents, cleaning supplies can often be triggers for individuals that are sensitive to smells. Touch. Individuals who are over-responsive to tactile input might be sensitive to unexpected touch, like a handshake or a pat on the back. They might dislike certain clothing items due to the texture of the materials. Individuals that are under-responsive might touch items within their environments in order to increase their tactile inputs. Interoception. It is important to consider how our interoception, or our internal feedback, affects our ability to actively engage in our everyday outings. The important thing to remember with interoception is that oftentimes individuals might not be able to express what is happening internally. Think about a time that you were very tired and had to participate in an activity, whether it was work-related or maybe a family function. Our ability to maintain a positive mood and socially engage with others is diminished when we are tired. Our internal state has a direct impact on us throughout our daily life. Taste. Taste sensitivities is one that you might encounter at times. Some individuals prefer hot versus cold foods or might have texture aversions to foods such as yogurt or mashed potatoes. Vestibular. Individuals that have vestibular sensitivities might show signs of dizziness or have difficulty navigating an environment that requires a change in balance or position. Some of these could be going up or down stairs, riding an elevator, or even riding in a car. Some individuals who are under-responsive to vestibular input will seek out additional movements such as running, jumping, spinning, or hand flapping. Proprioception. Individuals experiencing proprioceptive deficits will often appear clumsy and bump into objects around them. Some individuals will lean on furniture or walls in order to increase their proprioceptive input. Individuals who are under-responsive to proprioceptive input might seek out increased deep pressure to assist with regulation. Let's take a look at what sensory overload may look like through the eyes of an individual with sensory sensitivities.
The following video contains sudden loud sounds, bright lights, and/or imagery that may cause some viewers to experience sensory overload. Please continue with caution.
Six, 7, 8, 9. Take my hand.
Many individuals with sensory needs often have difficulty understanding changes in voice during conversation. For example, an individual may not respond to a change in volume or tone of voice during a verbal exchange. Some people rely on body language and facial expressions for social communication. Because of this, email or written exchanges can often be misunderstood. Receiving multi-step directions can also be difficult for individuals with sensory needs to process. Instead, be very direct and provide simple, one-step tasks. Because some individuals require increased time to process language, you should always give an individual time to respond. Many individuals have difficulty understanding what we call social cues. They may not respond to a handshake, or they may have inappropriate responses to another's emotions. For example, they may laugh at the sign of a family member crying from an injury. Some individuals will utilize augmentative alternative communication devices. We do not expect you to know how to use these devices. However, it is important that you take a look at these examples so that you can recognize a communication device. AAC can also be seen in low-tech forms, such as picture cards, notebooks, or visual schedules. In addition to everyday communication, those with sensory processing needs often benefit with consistency and routines. Because of this, if they are coming to your venue for the first time, they may experience some anxiety about the new sensory experiences. Now that you have an understanding of sensory processing, sensory needs, and sensory dysregulation, we want to talk to you about how we make your location sensory inclusive by utilizing the 4 E's: education, environmental modifications, effective communication, and engaging and preparing guests. The first E is the education component. This is what you are participating in today. By developing an understanding of sensory processing needs and how this affects an individual's daily life, you are partnering with us to create an environment where everyone feels included and valued at your location. Our second E in making your location inclusive is our environmental modifications. By altering the environment at your location, you can help individuals feel accepted and included at all times. Now let's talk about the exciting modifications and ideas for your venue. Our goal at KultureCity is to make sure we provide employees and guests of your location the resources they need to be successful. We have developed a research-based sensory bag containing the following items: noise-canceling headphones, fidget tools, and a visual cue card. As we go through each sensory system area, we will discuss these items more in depth. As mentioned previously, there are many auditory stimuli within our environments. Our sensory bag tool to assist with auditory sensitivities is our noise-canceling headphones. These are great for filtering out extra auditory stimuli while allowing an individual to continue hearing at a muffled sound. This results in increased productivity due to decreasing the auditory distractions around the guest. If possible, notify guests of any major auditory changes in your facility, such as construction zones. Visual modifications. As previously discussed, too much visual stimuli can result in an overload for some individuals. To assist with this, you should consider the following. Limit clutter on the walls. Don't have too many signs, artwork, posters, or notes on the walls that could be visually distracting for individuals. Avoid patterns or fully textured walls and floors within the facility. If possible, use neutral or cool paint color tones to encourage relaxation. Consider the lighting within your location. Smell or olfactory modifications. For the olfactory system, you should be mindful of cleaning products and consider implementing a no perfume or cologne policy for your employees. This will decrease the amount of inputs within the environment. Tactile modifications. Our sensory bag tool to increase tactile input is the fidget tools. There are many types of fidgets that can be used to help individuals maintain focus and/or regulate during sensory overload. Fidget tools are used to increase tactile input and give feedback that can be calming for individuals. Have gloves available for individuals to use when touching non-preferred textures or asking them to participate in a task that they may consider messy. Seating considerations. Some individuals might have difficulty remaining seated for a long duration due to proprioceptive or vestibular feedback. Our sensory tool to assist with proprioceptive feedback, specifically while seated, is our weighted lap pad. If you have ever had an x-ray of some sort, they likely placed a heavy lead vest on you. This gives a sensation of deep pressure and can be very regulating for us. The lap pads are great tools to use for locations with a high seating demand. When possible, we recommend having a variety of options for your guests to utilize throughout their visit. Some examples of adapted seating could be a swivel desk chair, a beanbag chair, a ball chair, or even a seat cushion to give additional feedback. Effective communication. During this training, you learned about the communication and language needs of some individuals with sensory processing deficits. So now the question is, how do you engage with someone that might have difficulty responding to you while visiting your location? Let's talk about some tips to enhance a customer's experience at your site. An individual's first impression of your business is often their initial interaction with employees. Upon entering your facility, individuals will see the partnership decal on the door and immediately feel accepted. We want to make sure that you are ready for all possible interactions when an individual experiencing sensory needs enters your location. Greeting the customer. The first step to greeting someone is to visually observe the individual. In doing this, you are able to determine the current energy level of that individual. If they seem reserved or shy, you should match with a calming energy. If the individual is excited or energetic, match with a cheerful and enthusiastic disposition. Eye contact can be difficult for many individuals with sensory needs. Even when an individual is not able to give you eye contact, they are still listening to your words and your voice volume or tone. Some individuals may greet you back verbally. Some may greet you using a communication device, and others may walk right past you with no response at all. Know that this is okay. Individuals with sensory needs process interactions in their environments in a different way, and sometimes require increased time to process all sensory inputs. When greeting a child, adjust your height to eye level if possible. When greeting an adult, stand up and greet them using the same tone and posture you would as if greeting any other guest. Additional communication strategies. Earlier in the training, you learned about communication and language needs of individuals with sensory processing deficits. So now the question is, how do you engage with someone that might have difficulty responding to you while visiting your location? Our sensory bag tool to assist with effective communication is the visual cue card. The visual cue card, or the feeling thermometer, can be used to assist individuals who are showing signs of sensory overload. It is helpful for those who have limited verbal language, but it also can be used as a tool for anyone experiencing a meltdown. On one side, you will find emotions coupled with a color rating scale. This helps us understand the emotions of an individual during sensory overload. The other side gives choices of regulatory items that are included in the sensory bag or within your facility. When interacting to an individual with sensory needs, it is important to speak directly to the individual and not the parent or caregiver that is present. It is common to think that if someone uses a communication device for social interactions, that they don't want to be interacted with the same way. However, this is not the case. Always look directly at the person, no matter what their communication preference may be. To show your interest in the individual, consider joining them in sensory exploration at your facility. In doing so, this sends the message that they are welcomed. Encourage your employees to demonstrate the use of a sensory bag item, such as the headphones or fidget tools, in public. This helps to normalize seeing the use on a daily basis to the public, and it promotes inclusion for all. When giving directions to an individual or speaking about a specific product, consider using multiple modes of giving the information. Use added visuals or gestures to help the individual see what you're telling them. If possible, model the directions you are giving. Keep in mind that sometimes guests will not want to be bothered, and they will want to independently explore your location. That is always okay. The last E we are going to discuss today is how to engage and prepare your guests to feel accepted and included at your venue. KultureCity provides your organization with signage to display throughout the facility. You will have door decals indicating your certification and partnership with us. Within the facility, you will have signage designating where the sensory bags are located so that everyone is aware of how to check this out for the duration of their visit. If applicable, there will be headphone zone signage indicating areas that might cause auditory overload. We recommend creating a quiet area for those that might need a place to regulate during their visit. These areas are not considered silent, but those that are typically more quiet than others. We partner with many organizations to help develop community sensory rooms for their locations. These provide individuals with sensory processing needs a safe place to calm down or to explore various sensory inputs. This, in return, helps increase engagement and participation within their current environment. Social stories are a great tool utilized by individuals prior to a new experience. It uses actual pictures of your facility and allows an individual to see the location before entering. These are uploaded on the KultureCity app and can be beneficial for a first-time visitor at your location to learn about their upcoming experience. Additional tips to help prepare guests and staff. When possible, you should encourage individuals or families to take a tour of your facility prior to an event or outing. Becoming a partner with KultureCity means that individuals expect you to have a good understanding of their sensory needs. Be prepared to answer questions about environmental modifications and talk to visitors about the partnership that we have with you. the catch principle. The last thing we want to discuss with you is how to respond to an individual experiencing sensory overload. One thing to note before we discuss how to interact with an individual in need is that individuals of all ages can experience a meltdown due to sensory overload. This means that if a noise is alarming for a 2-year-old, it can also have the same effect on a 32-year-old. However, the response to the triggering sound can look very different for the two ages, and that is okay. We want all individuals to feel accepted and included, regardless of their age or current situation. When responding to an individual in need, you catch, consent, approach, tools, crowds away, help, consent. When approaching a situation, you always want to ask a family or caregiver for permission to assist the individual in need. If the answer is no, give the family the privacy they have requested. If an individual is alone, proceed to the next step. Approach. When approaching an individual in need, you should never physically touch them. You should always maintain an appropriate voice level. If you approach an individual by screaming and running towards them, it is likely to escalate the situation. Using a quiet, calm voice will help with regulation for the individual. Always speak using concrete, simple sentences and limit the use of repetitive questions. For example, if you continue to ask an individual, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" they will likely not respond to you. Instead, ask one time and allow the individual time to respond. Tools. If possible, ask about the individual's communication preference. Are they vocal or do they utilize a communication device? Offer the visual cue card for an individual to express how they are feeling. Have a sensory bag close by to offer items to help with regulation. Sometimes an individual might need to see a map of the nearest exit or restroom. Crowds away. Our goal through our partnership is acceptance and inclusion. We want to provide the individual and family with the privacy and space to feel comfortable during a meltdown. Redirect crowds when possible to help protect the dignity of the individual and the family. Help. Offer any other resources within your facility. The family's safety and comfort level is your main priority. Be sure to answer any questions the individual or family may have and end your communication in a positive manner. In closing, we want to thank you for partnering with us to make your organization inclusive. With the vast growing numbers of individuals with sensory needs, it is important that we help organizations like yours learn about these needs and how to adapt current environments for inclusion. Feel free to reach out to us at any time with questions or comments that you may have. You can reach us on our website or email us at sensoryteam@kulturecity.org. Thanks again and have a great day.